When students are preparing for class, I have essentially a to-do list posted on Blackboard for every class meeting of the term. I would say about 80% or 90% of the new information that I expect them to get and the relationships between the information that I expect them to build are on activities or are embedded in activities that take place outside of the classroom. And so all new information, so any kind of reading, if there are videos that I expect them to watch, I can put the videos online and have them watch the videos before they come to class. I have them prepare questions ahead of time. There are assignments or sets of problems that they have to solve. And they do all of those things before class. And so, to me, student preparation for the class is the key to the class's success, or the key to the student's ability to transform themselves in the context of this class. If students don't come to class prepared, then frankly, the class meeting doesn't make any sense to them at all. The class meeting times are organized around problems or in-class quizzes that they do kind of all day, every day. And so a typical day is I will spend 4 or 5 minutes making announcements, reviewing what I expected them to do in preparation for this class. And then I'll give a 2-minute introduction to put the problem in context. And then I post a problem on the board. And it usually is one that's very similar to or based on the preparation work that they've done. And so I can give an example. In the simulation that students use, one of their performance targets is to have a contribution margin above 30%. For their preparation for class, they look at the relationship between a number of different decisions that they make and, for instance, the price that they charge and the contribution margin. So when they come into class, the first thing that I do is have them put 2 or 3 different decisions that will affect their contribution margin together. That's the first problem. And so if they haven't done the preparatory work, they're not able to make sense out of the activities that we do in class. And so basically, if they don't do their homework, if they don't prepare adequately for class, they come into class and lose the opportunity to create an understanding with help, and then they don't do well on the in-class quizzes. I've tried to design all of the class meetings so that students are engaged or are actively engaged with the material for as high a percentage of that 2 hours as is possible. So that's, in terms of a structural flaw, my class meets twice a week for 2 hours at a time. And that's absolute brain death for any normal human being to be in a room for that long, listening to someone else, or if they're not actively engaged. And so, again, the idea in the class meeting is that I pose a series of problems that help them integrate or to develop an understanding of the relationships between the relatively simple concepts that they've learned at home on their own in preparation for class. I'll talk for a couple of minutes and then pose a problem. Students are organized into learning groups, so they work with the same people throughout the term. When I pose a problem, then students have access to whatever homework assignments or printed resources they've brought to class, and the people who are sitting next to them. I always, when they're solving problems, remind them that the right answer isn't necessarily important. And it isn't, because oftentimes I'll tell students what the right alternative is, what the right answer to the question is, but that it's a lot more important that they understand where that came from. And so I'll walk around in the room then. So first I pose the problem. Students engage with each other and with the material. I walk the room. I work the room pretty actively throughout the 2 hours and answer questions. I overhear conversations and inject myself into them, whether I'm welcome or not. I joke with students then. I hope, interact with them as much as possible. I'll close a question down, and I'm usually nowhere near the front of the room when I'm doing that. We'll review the answer. I'll talk for a couple of minutes and to pose the next problem, to kind of set up the next kind of link that I expect them to make with the material, and then just do the same thing. So I believe, or my ideal design would be that I talk for 5 minutes, the students solve problems for 10. I talk for 5 minutes, the students solve problems for 10. And usually when I say solve problems in 10 minutes, they probably do 4 or 5 problems. They tend to be relatively simple problems with a lot of iterations. What happens if this? What happens if this? Kind of what if scenarios.